Good evening. You are just in time for NTV Tonight. Our top stories.
Tonight, there is concern among parents as children study using substandard books.
We need professionalism when it comes to developing such curriculum because they inculcate some mindset into our children.
Learners encounter grammatical mistakes and misleading questions in revision textbooks.
Also tonight, setting the record straight.
Baadhi ya viongozi wamenieleza ya kwamba wajua tukishindwa alafu tunyamaze wananchi watatuacha.
IEBC insists that NASA lost the 2017 poll and acknowledged it as the chairman calls on DCI and EACC to probe former commissioners.
Plus, a divided church and a shepherd turning on the flock. Some residents of Kamba in Kiambu accuse a pastor of preying on young women in the church.
Also tonight,
a patient who told her staff that he wants to sleep with her.
The staff were attracted by screams from the nursing desk.
KNH nurses down their tools over physical and sexual abuse by patients.
NTV Tonight with Trevor Ombija and Zainab Ismail.
Thank you so much for making time to join us. Our sign language interpreter this evening is David Agondoa. Now, the IEBC now says that the National Super Alliance had acknowledged having lost the 2017 elections, but had to keep up attacks against the electoral body to keep their supporters going. According to the commissioners, the August 8 elections were the most transparent.
Well, the commission's chairperson, Wafula Chebukati, has also called the Directorate of Criminal Investigations and the EACC to move into the commission and investigate the commissioners who resigned and former CEO Ezra Chiloba over their involvement in misappropriation of funds at the commission in the run-up to last year's elections.
Kennedy Murray reports from Wote, Makueni County, where the commission launched its continuous voter registration.
The IEBC is putting its house in order early as talk on a referendum gathers momentum with each passing day. Today, the commission pitched tent in Wote, Makueni County, where it was launching a voter registration drive, which, according to the Constitution, should be a continuous process. Here, questions on the handling of the 2017 elections dominated talk from politicians, bearing in mind the region overwhelmingly supported the NASA coalition that had Raila Odinga as its flag bearer. A myriad of issues were brought up, ranging from lack of trust in the institution that is now trying to clean its image and give the country a new face. Makueni Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. started it all. He revived the ghosts of the 2017 elections.
You should take advantage of the handshake. Mutuambie hii saba ilifanya nini, ilichukuliwa na nani, ni kwa nini tulirudia kura, na ni kwa nini Wakenya wanatumia pesa nyingi hivyo kufanya kura ya pili.
Every presidential agent had a secure access to the server. Na jambo hili tumelizungumzia muda mrefu, tumeweka katika dailies, tukaeleza vile ilivyokuwa, lakini baadhi ya viongozi wamenieleza ya kwamba wajua tukishindwa alafu tunyamaze wananchi watatuacha.
Kama makomishna wanne wameresign, wameenda nyumbani, Bwana Chebukati, where are you going to how are you going to conduct your work when you do not have quorum?
Constitutional commissions should have minimum of 3, maximum of 9. I think as we are here, we are not 2.5. Isn't it? So we are completely 3. We meet the constitutional threshold.
According to the 3 remaining commissioners who seem to have knit their relationship closely in a new-found unity of purpose, there are forces keen on rocking the boat from outside and sabotaging their work, which has so far been cleaning up the commission.
Wakati tunakaa kama kwa ofisi tunaongea kwa boardroom, wengine wanaenda nje wanapiga simu kwa some people tuseme nini, huyo chairman anasema hivi niende niseme nini. Wale watu walienda. Wakati tumesema tuanze mambo ya audit, walitoroka wakaenda.
He further calls on relevant investigative arms to come in and start investigations on the sacked CEO Ezra Chiloba and the 4 commissioners who resigned, with the aim of prosecuting them for having mismanaged last year's elections.
Na wale ambao walihusika na kufanya gharama ya uchaguzi iende juu, hata kama ni nani, hata kama ni staff, hata kama ni commissioner, hata kama ni mimi, nasema hatufai kuwa wa Kenya. Kama ulihusika, unataka uwe ndani, ukae ndani.
The continuous voter registration launched here in Makueni today by the IEBC seeks to raise about 500,000 new voters by January next year. The IEBC insists that it will be something that they will be doing more often in an effort to prepare early for the 2022 elections. Kennedy Mureithi, NTV in Makueni County.
Let's cross over to the corridors of justice, where Joseph Irungu, also known as Joey, and TV anchor Jackie Maribe will remain in custody until Wednesday, when the court will set the date for their bail application hearing.
The two pleaded not guilty to Monica Kimani's murder before Justice Jesse Lasit after Jackie underwent a psychiatric evaluation which found her fit to stand trial. NTV's Seth Olale attended the court session and has the latest on the case about Monica Nyawira Kimani's murder.
Jackie Maribe and Joseph Irungu, alias Joey, the accused persons in Monica Kimani's murder case, appeared more calm as they entered the courtroom. The TV journalist, dressed in a green suit and white blouse, smiled at her parents and lawyer as she took her position in the dock. Notably present was the Secretary of Digital Innovation and Diaspora in the Office of the President, Dennis Itumbi, who made a surprise appearance in court in support of Jackie Maribe. Itumbi greeted both Maribe and her fiancé, Joseph Irungu. Joey, who the prosecution has placed as the main suspect in the murder of the slain businesswoman, broke down as his mother embraced him minutes before the session began. The arrival of Justice Jesse Lasit few minutes after 9 a.m. commenced the hearing, with the two suspects both denying killing Monica Kimani at her Lamuria apartment in Kilimani on the night of September 19th.
You understand the charge? Is it true?
Defense lawyers represented by Katwa Kigen and Cliff Ombeta, among others, immediately sought bail for the suspects, arguing that the accused have been in custody for over 2 weeks.
We pray that you entertain us today on an application under Article 49 for admission of the accused persons to bail as a matter of right, and under the understanding that the burden of proving that there are reasons not to grant would be on the prosecution.
Within the next 2 weeks.
The prosecution, on the other hand, led by Catherine Mwaniki and a lawyer representing Monica Kimani's family, told the court that they will oppose the suspect's release on bail.
Having served the defense counsels with the replying affidavit for us to be able to canvass the said issues, as we are opposed to both accused persons being released on bail or bond, pending the determination of this hearing.
The prosecution further stated that it needs more time in order to submit the file exhibits and witness statements to the defense team.
Joseph.
Justice Lasit directed that a separate court will set the date for the bail application hearing on Wednesday 17th, meaning Maribe and her fiancé will spend 2 more nights in remand prison pending the bail application hearing. Even before the court sets a date for the bond or bail application hearing, the prosecution is keen to ensure that the accused who pleaded not guilty remain in detention until investigations are completed. Seth Olale, NTV, Milimani Law Courts.
All right, and on to matters education now. There are textbooks currently in circulation whose quality is poor. The Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development is reviewing textbooks used in learning in schools to ensure they meet required standards after a series of revelations about shoddy textbooks.
Well, Ministry of Education officials, however, opted to stay silent in the face of damning evidence and questions about the competence of the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development. NTV's Sharon Baranga has more.
Spotlight Quick Revision for Social Studies is on the spot for mistakes it is exposing Class 3 learners to. Some of the questions in the book with multiple choices seem to be pointing learners in a direction that might not be welcome with their guardians. In one of the pages, there is a drawing of a girl seemingly digging in the farm. Learners are asked to describe what the girl in the drawing is doing. The choices offered as an answer are about child protection, child abuse, a child resting, and a child playing. None of the choices refers simply to the task the drawing portrays, raising questions on the message it is supposed to convey to learners. Another book on the spotlight is New Primary English for Class 2. This book, penned by 4 authors, is published by the Jomo Kenyatta Foundation and approved by Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, but it has a number of grammatical mistakes. On page 14, the paragraph is wanting in grammar, as well as the example set for Class 2 pupils.
I think the problem is the people who develop that curriculum. Sijui kama ni shule hawakwenda ama, but I think we need professionalism when it comes to developing such curriculum, because they inculcate some mindset into our children, which they grow up and become ladies who don't value independence.
Haina any effect kwa hizi vitabu zinatumiwa na watoto kabla zipitie kwa serikali, ziko tu sawa. Hakuwezi kuwa na kitu inaweza kuwa na effect kwa watoto.
My question is whether the Ministry of Education does have people who proofread these books before they are released to our students, our children in schools. Because if you look at an example where the teacher and the students are waving to a chopper, actually they are calling it an airplane. But we know the truth of the matter is that this is not an airplane. This is a chopper.
In a statement, KICD said school textbooks are approved after a careful evaluation and review by KICD officers, lecturers, quality assurance officers, teachers in primary and secondary schools, and tutors from teacher training colleges. Currently, officials from the KICD are subjecting the books to further quality assurance to ensure they meet required standards. As of now, the Jomo Kenyatta Foundation has recalled these books, but we still have copies of these in some of the leading bookstores in Nairobi. Sharon Baranga, NTV.
So amid that damning revelations, the Ministry of Education, Interior and ICT will work together to ensure they deliver credible national examinations in the country.
Those who will be caught trying to aid cheating in national examinations will have their certificates recalled by the Ministry of Education.
In quite a number of others, it is the principal who is working in cahoots with a very few people, either from the TSC or from the education sector, trying to corrupt the examination. And I want to challenge you, or I want to charge you. The exam is a virgin as it's going to leave our warehouses. We would like it to be a virgin when it is coming back. And you are the ones who have the responsibility. I think you should have no mercy. I don't have authority to say what I'm saying because the bosses are here, but you should have no mercy. Don't even imagine.
This year, we will handle you with amazing precision if you actually try to interfere with the exams. And we will be with you. We are not prescribing things to you that you are going to do without us. We will be in the schools with you. We will be at the containers with you. We will wake up in the morning with you, so no one should complain, no one should complain that we are asking you to wake up, because we will wake up with you.
Now, nurses at the Kenyatta National Hospital on Monday downed their tools to protest what they said is continuous physical and sexual harassment from patients at the facility. This comes 2 days after a nurse was attacked by a patient's relative at the hospital on Saturday.
Well, the nurse is currently recuperating at the high dependency unit at the hospital. They demanded security from the hospital management as well. They have accused the management of turning a blind eye to some of the cases they raise.
They have held it in for too long. They wanted to let it out. The frustrations of being a nurse at the Kenyatta National Hospital. Nurses at KNH, joined by other medical personnel, demonstrated demanding that the hospital's management prioritize their security. The protest coming after one of their own, Mary Akinyi, was attacked by the next of kin of a patient who passed on Saturday at the nursing station. The medics, however, have accused the hospital of often failing to protect them from unruly patients or their relatives.
The law is very clear that the employer shall provide a safe environment, a safe working environment.
We are asking our customers to extend the same courtesies and mutual respect as they would expect from us. In the event of any grievances, we encourage our customers to follow the laid down procedures.
According to the nurses, the critical ward dreaded by most of them is the orthopedic ward.
A patient who told our staff that he wants to sleep with her in the ward. When you go to orthopedic, you find that it is overcrowded. Therefore, some patients sleep under the bed. When you are attending to a patient, the people who are below the bed, they will be like, they want to see. And that's when they used to come out knowing so-and-so is putting on a red pant or a black pant or something like that. So people complained, and that's the time when now nurses were allowed to put on trousers to work.
They say this particular ward is in need of urgent action.
They even smoke bangi. They even drink alcohol in the ward. We've raised alarm. We've taken issues with our bosses, and nothing has been done. So every day we go to work, we are passive smokers.
The nurses have threatened to go on strike if their security is not prioritized by the hospital. Eunice Omolo, NTV.
All right, and away from that, allegations of sexual impropriety have left a community in Kambaa, Kiambu County divided. This is after it emerged that the resident priest has been preying on impressionable young women in his flock.
Well, one congregant claims that the priest not only impregnated his daughter, but also made it possible for her to procure an abortion. Not all members of the closed community are convinced, however, taking the view that the good name of their priest is being dragged through the mud and causing his alleged victims to keep silent for fear of being ostracized.
Stares of suspicion and wariness greet the new faces in town as word is spread of their presence. Not entirely unexpected of a small town, except no hands are extended in welcome. A reticent reception that could perhaps be explained by the gathering of priests at Our Lady of the Assumption Catholic Church, not for worship but for the hearing of complaints leveled against the parish priest. The hearing, held a day after the Daily Nation published charges leveled against the priest by several of his parishioners. The charges being that he was in the habit of preying on the naivete of the younger female members of his congregation, enticing them with house parties and trips before taking advantage of them. The father of one such youth, claiming his daughter admitted to attending at least one outing on which the priest swam nude, his daughter later conceiving a child he's convinced was fathered by the priest. The pregnancy later terminated, the aggrieved father says, with the blessing of the priest who provided the financing. Another reported incident is that of a 20-year-old whose 3-month-old child, neighbors are convinced, was the product of an affair with the priest who frequently visited with her ailing father. None of this, however, has been boldly stated in public. The aggrieved persons who spoke on condition of anonymity, expressing fear of being ostracized by their community. The fear rooted in the disbelief exhibited by those members in the community who simply cannot reconcile the sins the priest is accused of committing with the office he holds. And it was in an effort to get to the bottom of things that the hearings were held at the church on Monday. Until such a time as a decision is taken, the Daily Nation reports the priest shall stand suspended.
Still in the counties, the Interior Ministry will work with locals to restore normalcy in parts of Mandera hard hit by terror.
Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i today met leaders from the northeastern region barely a week after a terror attack on Arabia Boys Secondary School, which claimed 2 non-local teachers, in an effort meant to arrive at solutions for the persistent terror activities in the region.
The death of 2 non-local teachers in an attack on a school by Al-Shabaab militias has sparked the latest round of actions meant to combat terror with the national examinations about to start. Interior CS Dr. Fred Matiang'i met northern Kenyan leaders in a bid to address the problem that has rendered parts of Mandera Al-Shabaab control zones. Leaders say Al-Shabaab is crippling the region.
The people of northern Kenya mourn loss of lives as well as the socio-economic alienation of the region as a result of targeted attacks of, by Al-Shabaab that has, alienated the region socio-economically.
National Majority Leader Aden Duale urged residents to work together with the government to ensure an end to the attacks by Al-Shabaab.
We'll go to the north, we'll start with Garissa, where we'll address leadership meeting. We'll go to Wajir and we'll go to Mandera to make sure that the citizens and the masses in that region be part and parcel in the ongoing operations.
We have discussed at length how we are going to work together to ensure that we not only mobilize our people in the northeastern part of our country, but line up the security resources in the country to support that part of our nation.
Matiang'i said that they shall continue working hand in hand with the leaders to ensure peace and security has been achieved.
I want to assure all Kenyans who work in the northeastern part of our country, wherever they come from in Kenya, all public servants, whether they are teachers, health professionals, administrators, our police officers, all public servants who work in the northeastern part of our country, that they are safe.
The recent terror attack in Mandera has seen CS Matiang'i sending a stern warning to the perpetrators and assuring the locals that the government is doing all that it could to uphold security, especially during the upcoming exam period. Helen Aura, NTV.
A teacher has been murdered at Marigat Ward, Baringo South Sub-County. The deceased, Rosa Lilei, was found lying dead in her kiosk at Iliagat Trading Center Sunday evening.
Fear has gripped Iliagat village, Marigat Ward in Baringo South Sub-County after a teacher was butchered. Friends and neighbors gathered at the home of the deceased to condole with the family. Rosa Lilei, 32, was found lying dead in her kiosk at Iliagat Trading Center on Sunday evening.
Huyu mama alikuwa ni mlango ya kioski. Nikaangalia, nikaona. Nikashangaa hii kitu alifanyika namna gani, nikaona ni kitu kama panga tu. Nikaona shingo imekatika. Nikarudi, nikaambia huyu kijana nimeangalia ni yeye, usijali. Hii maneno nimetoka, tumuumulie.
Lilei was a teacher at Iliagat Primary School, and the school has been closed indefinitely due to fears about insecurity.
And the police came at around midnight. That was around 4 o'clock. They took the body to Kabarnet mortuary. Yes, this morning when we arrived at school, in fact, the teachers were not aware. We assembled here and we have had a staff meeting. We have discussed to find even the scenario.
Baringo South MP Charles Akamuren has called for speedy investigations into the matter.
Tunaomba viongozi wote wa sehemu hiyo tusaidiane katika uchunguzi, tukisaidiana na polisi mpaka tupate yule aliyefanya kitendo hili. Hii ni makosa, hii ni mbaya, na tutakubali kila mkaidi katika dunia ya Baringo South.
The locals are living in fear as they recall recent attacks that have left 4 people dead. Nur Abdulaziz, NTV.
And from that unfortunate incident, let's take a short break here on NTV Tonight. We'll be back with much more.
Welcome back to the bulletin, and at this point we take a look at My Job segment. And when she joined university, Sylvia Mbithe settled for a course that demanded a high level of physical exercise, which then translates to keeping her physically healthy. But being able to help others in this journey, she says, helps her sleep well at night.
Achieng Wimbley had a conversation with Sylvia, gym instructor, to find out just what it takes to become one.
To live a healthy lifestyle, one needs a proper nutrition and fitness plan.
Today we meet Sylvia Mbithe, a 30-year-old who works here at Evolve Fitness. It is 20 minutes past 11 in the morning, and Sylvia invites us to the gym where she and her colleague are having training session, given that it is off-peak time and clients are not in.
Most of trainers train 6 days in a week because we have to look the part. So yeah, so that if I tell you I'm a trainer, you can actually see I look like a trainer.
For 2 years straight, Sylvia has been part of a professional fitness training. We sought to find out what has been her driving force.
First of all, passion. Yeah, because the thing I learned about us fitness trainers, I have a theory in life that if it doesn't make you money or it doesn't make you happy, it should not be for you.
Her journey, she says, started 6 years ago when she joined Kenyatta University and blindly picked a Bachelor of Science in Recreation and Sports Management as her course of choice. A decision, she says, sent confusion not only to herself but to her parents. Parents, she says, accorded her full support nevertheless.
Go out for
in a world where she could be anything, she chose to be a fitness trainer without any motivation whatsoever. But passion caught up with her and growth followed suit quite naturally.
My growth has been gradual from since 2016 to now. I've learned from my fellow trainers, from our head trainers to our bosses, to our clients.
Sylvia says that there is no constant discrimination in the workplace as far as clients' preference is concerned. However, once in a while, a client will prefer a male trainer over female, but not every day.
It's there, but at the end of the day, it's not a competition, it's about preference. At the end of the day, it's not about proving ourselves if we can actually do it, because we actually can.
But just what does it take to make it to the peak of her job?
You have to study for it, then you have to practice a lot, then you have to train a lot, then you have to gain experience over time.
After lots of work to better herself, Sylvia is even more determined to take her services to the next level.
I'll move completely to personalized training, then later I'll have my own personalized fitness center.
Her loyalty to her job is not limited to the payroll, so she says, because her job by all means is therapeutic. Sylvia says that female fitness trainers are usually faced with a challenge when dealing with men who visit the gym with motives that go beyond burning calories. She says that she somehow finds a way to rise above the situation every time it presents itself because she is a professional and this is her job. Achieng Wimbley, NTV.
So Zainab, how often do you go to the gym?
Okay, I will not lie, not so much.
What? Have you ever gone to the gym before?
Yeah, 3 times.
And then what happened?
I quit.
I should go back myself. I'm beginning to have a bit of a public
yourself?
opinion. I also quit just like you.
Why?
See, my public opinion is almost cracking my button here, but I'll go back as well. When you go back, then I'll go back. Is that a deal?
You're calling me fat?
No, yo, that is what I said.
All right, fine. Thank you so much, Trevor.
No deal? No?
No deal.
Well, today, the world marked Global Hand Washing Day. And as part of that effort, Lifebuoy manufacturer Unilever took the campaign to Unity Primary in Umoja.
Well, at the event, the children were shown how to properly wash their hands, with this year's theme being Clean Hands, a recipe for health. This year's message is intended to encourage hand washing at mealtimes. Research has shown that hand washing with soap could protect about 1 out of every 3 young children who get sick with diarrhea and almost 1 out of 5 young children with respiratory infections like pneumonia.
What day is today? October? You know what October 15 is? October 15th is Global Hand Washing Day.
That's very cool.
All right, and at this point, let's take a very short break. When we come back, Trevor Mbija will be bringing you all stories making headlines in the world of business.
She's going to the gym, by the way.
association with Safaricom Business.
You're just in time for business. I'm not done, I'm just getting started. A fire broke out today at the Kenya Pipeline Company jet fuel depot near the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. The fire started at around 4 p.m., blowing thick black smoke into the air, but no major flight disruptions were reported. A truck said to have been loading Jet A1 fuel caught fire at the depot located very close to the flight path for incoming flights at the airport. No injuries were reported at the time. Meanwhile, Kenya is just 2.2 percentage points from hitting the 100% mark in terms of mobile penetration. Data from the Communications Authority of Kenya shows that the country reported 1.4 million new subscribers between April and June 2018, pushing its mobile phone penetration rate to 97.8%. The data further reveals that industry players experienced mixed fortunes in the period under review, with Safaricom losing on the market share front.
Safaricom's grip on mobile phone subscribers continues to loosen as its market share declined to 65.4% in June 2018 from 72.6% in the same period in 2017. Over this period, Airtel and Telkom gained traction, boosting their market share to 21.4% and 8.8% respectively. On the mobile money front, however, Safaricom's M-Pesa cemented its position as the market leader, accounting for 78.3% of the value of all transactions between April and June 2018, up from 74.2% in the same period in 2017. This trend is of great interest given the implementation of mobile money transfer interoperability starting April 10, 2018, a development that is widely expected to shake up M-Pesa's command of the mobile money market. In what reflects dividends from regional integration, voice traffic from East African Community member states rose to account for 36.7% of all international voice traffic into Kenya, its highest proportion over the last 5 years. This has been attributed to gains from the One Network area provision, which sought to harmonize roaming charges. The report from the Communications Authority comes against the backdrop of the Competition Authority's memorandum to the Parliamentary Committee on Communication, which holds that Safaricom has been progressively losing its market share and does not possess significant market power in the voice, data and mobile money segments. Julian Samboko, NTV.
So the Kenya Revenue Authority, that is KRA, is holding deliberations on measures to expand its revenue base by roping in the informal sector and exploring e-commerce and m-commerce. This happens as the authority faces immense pressure to meet revenue targets for the fiscal year to enable the government to pay its debts and finance development projects as well.
As the 4th annual tax summit opened today, attracting hundreds of Kenyans, questions have cropped up on the new taxes introduced to help fund the Big Four agenda. One topic in particular, President Uhuru Kenyatta's recent proposal to Parliament to increase excise duty on airtime from the current 10% to 15%.
I think it's a huge mistake to attempt to tax things like social media, to tax like internet, to tax like handsets, because as you have seen, these are ICT is an enabler. It has helped us, especially with the Huduma centers, people to work from home. So really, this is something we must understand and support so that government gets more data which they can analyze and begin to predict some of the revenue sources.
The new taxes on mobile data and internet data tariffs, yet to be effected, are intended to raise 20.2 billion of this year's 2.97 trillion budget.
If you expand the tax base, it would mean then it's very easy to lower the tax rate. That's why my argument was that we should even have had incentives. And that's what we were working earlier by removing taxes from handsets so that everybody accesses handsets, everybody accesses broadband. It makes it much, much easier when you have people in a situation where you can track and trace.
The 3-day summit, bringing together local and international tax experts, also implodes on discussing avenues to net the informal sector, measures to seal tax evasion loopholes, and taxation in a digitized economy, amongst other issues. Lillian Carey, reporting for NTV Business.
Well, more than 600 former workers of the struggling cement manufacturer East African Portland Cement Company are up in arms demanding payment of more than 1.4 billion shillings in gratuity that the company owes them. The agitated workers, whose contracts were terminated 4 months ago, faced off with the police early this morning as they attempted to block lorries transporting cement from entering the factory. Victor Kiprop has the details.
Barely 1 month after the government announced a 15 billion shillings bailout for the struggling cement manufacturer, the company's former employees are back on its doors demanding their dues.
What we want as employees, tunataka tu pesa yetu, maisha yetu iendelee. We don't want to be employed by Portland. What we want is our money, and that is our right.
In September, the Court of Appeal gave the company 30 days to deposit 350 million shillings in court as a precondition to suspend an order by the Labour Court allowing the workers to auction its assets in order to recover the amounts owed to them. The company, however, admitted earlier this month that it was yet to deposit the money and that disgruntled workers now say the delay in releasing the payments has caused them untold suffering.
Our families are suffering. We are 4 months down the line. We have not gotten our dues. Houses have been locked. Children have suffered. They have been sent home from school. No food on the table. These people you are seeing here, they have suffered enough. And they have said, enough is enough.
Once the region's largest cement maker, the EAPCC is now a shadow of its former self, already deep in debt, production slashed by half, and in need of at least 15 billion shillings to return to normalcy. Late last month, the government agreed to buy part of the company's 16,000-acre piece of land in Athi River as part of the bailout plan. Efforts by NTV to reach the Office of Industrialization, Trade and Cooperatives Cabinet Secretary Peter Munya on the matter proved futile. Victor Kiprop, NTV Business.
Meanwhile, over 200 workers from a flower farm in Getanga, that's in Murang'a County, have gone on strike demanding that the company pays them their wages. Activities at Zena Roses have been paralyzed for the last 4 days, with workers accusing the company of failing to pay them for the last 3 months and also failing to remit their deductions to their union. The unpaid wages have now accrued to 3 million shillings, while the union dues have accrued to 1 million shillings. The company says negotiations are ongoing to resolve the standoff with the workers.
Tangu lini ukafanya kazi, ukafanyia mwajiri kazi, ukamaliza miezi 3 bila kupokea pesa? Hilo jambo limetuudhi sana na tunaomba serikali iingilie kati.
Tunafanya kazi, maua tunauza, kazi iko sawa, hatujui shida iko wapi, maana biashara inaendelea kama kawaida.
Well, the Nairobi Importers and Small Traders Association is decrying seizure of imports at the port of Mombasa over what it terms as unfair targeting by the government. The association claims that small traders are being targeted in the fight against counterfeit products owing to the relatively favorable prices of their products.
They're saying they are substandard, but again, you should always think even for that mwananchi who is down there, who cannot afford whatever you are trying to say. In any case, we are demanding for the parameters that they want us to be bringing. If for example, it's the switches and what have you, let them bring the parameters over. There's somebody who is using an iPhone and there's somebody who is using a kabambe. You are not going to call a kabambe a counterfeit or a substandard just because, you know.
All right, and the one counterfeit wraps up the business news. Zainab Ismail is back in a bit with more news on the other side.
NTV Business News in association with Safaricom Business.
Let's get your business ready.
Welcome back to the bulletin now. As the debate on a national referendum continues to elicit mixed reactions, the NGOs Council of Kenya is in support, indicating that it will help Kenya sort out its economic burden. According to the council, it shall soon convene a multi-stakeholders forum to debate the matter. Elsewhere in Buri, Meru County, Trade Cabinet Secretary Peter Munya said leaders should sit down and decide what is to be amended in the Kenyan constitution and later have a referendum.
Tumesikia wengine wanasema toa women reps, reduce counties, wengine wanasema pia wabunge wapunguzwe. Si mbaya, ni maoni yao, lakini maoni yetu rasmi tutatoa wakati itafika, kwamba tungependa ya kwa time. Hatutataka kuamka asubuhi na kusema tunataka hivi. Tunataka kulete maoni ya Wakenya.
We would call upon the government, if we are to use as a nation 12 billion to do the referendum, can we have the referendum translate into results that would give Wanjiko, Akinyi, Atieno a better life, breathe life, and celebrate to be a Kenyan?
Naona wote wanasema sasa tufanye hiyo katiba kurekebisha. Sasa kwa sababu wote wanasema hivyo, tutafute njia ya kuketi basi tuone ni nini tunarekebisha. Na tujipangie ni wakati gani na siku gani tunarekebisha.
My prayer is that should be done towards the tail end, towards 2022, so that we can get divergent views, and it can even be done concurrently with the next elections, rather than have a referendum in between, which can bring divisions like we saw with bananas and oranges.
We want this time referendum to be people-driven, not politician-driven. This referendum is also a referendum to create positions. If you're already saying we have abandoned, then how do we start addition of executives?
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, Warodha Kiru is on standby to bring you all stories making headlines in the world of sports.
My name is Warodha Kiru, and former Sports Cabinet Secretary Hassan Wario, now Kenya's ambassador to Austria, and former president of the National Olympic Committee of Kenya, NOC, Kipchoge Keino, have been given until Thursday to surrender to the police over the 2016 Rio Olympic Games scandal. This is Kenya's ambassador to Russia, Richard Ekai. Passport has been deposited in court after he was released on a cash bail.
Sports administrators on the dock for the misappropriation of funds during the Rio 2016 Olympics. Former National Olympic Committee of Kenya official Stephen Soy, who was the chief demission of the Kenyan team, and FK Paul, who is the NOC Secretary General, as well as former Sports Ministry Principal Secretary Richard Ekai, were arraigned at the Anti-Corruption Court in Milimani. But former Sports Cabinet Secretary and current Kenyan ambassador to Austria, Hassan Wario, as well as former National Olympic Committee of Kenya chairman Kipchoge Keino were charged in absentia with reports that they are both out of the country. Also absent were Patrick Kimathi and Harun Komen, who were high-ranking officials in the sports ministry.
The accused who did not take plea today to present themselves to the DCI by 6 a.m. Thursday, 18th October 2018, and to be brought before this court for plea on 19th October 2018 at 8:30 a.m.
Ekai, who is currently Kenya's envoy to Russia, found the going tough despite his lawyers attempting to play the diplomatic card.
Please give me his itinerary. If you don't know, say so that I can decide this thing and then we move ahead.
Your Honor, at present, I do not have the details of the itinerary.
Okay.
But that is something that we're able to provide in the course of the day.
That is enough for me for now.
All the 7 accused are charged with 6 counts of abuse of office, contrary to Section 46 as read with Section 48(1) of the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act. They also face 4 counts of willful failure to comply with the laws relating to the management of public funds involving 22.4 million, purchased air tickets worth 16.9 million, which were not utilized, and overpayment of allowances amounting to 15.9 million shillings during the 2016 Olympic Games in Rio. Ekai, Soy and FK Paul were freed on a 1 million shilling cash bail each after they denied the charges read by Magistrate Douglas Ogoti. They, however, had to deposit their passports with the court.
It's been well over 2 years since the fantastic performance of Team Kenya at the Rio 2016 Olympics, but clearly all scandals off the track continue to haunt Kenyans. Ida Warenga reporting for NTV, Milimani Law Courts.
And we'll be waiting to see how that unfolds. And the national football team Harambee Stars will almost certainly qualify for the Cup of Nations in Cameroon in 2019 if Sierra Leone's ban stands. Now let's have a look at how Group F stands, with Sierra Leone out of AFCON qualification and in with a chance to make it to Cameroon. If the West African country does not satisfy FIFA and CAF requirements, then Kenya will have sailed into the continental competition, having amassed 7 points and remaining with a game away to Ghana in March 22nd, 2019. Ghana is second with Ethiopia bottom. However, if Sierra Leone are reinstated, Kenya will still lead with 7 points, followed by Ethiopia on 4 points, and Ghana and Sierra Leone have 2 games in hand. Kenya will thereby need 2 points to sail into Cameroon from their 2 remaining games against Sierra Leone at home in November and away to Ghana next year. And Deputy President William Ruto has insisted that he will accompany Harambee Stars to Cameroon come June next year if they qualify for the Africa Cup of Nations for the first time in 15 years. DP Ruto, who promised to award the Stars 50 million shillings if they beat Ethiopia, also said that the government is 100% behind the national team. Celebrating a win. An emphatic 3-0 win over Ethiopia in an AFCON 2019 qualifier match. There was a promise, 50 million shillings worth, for the win over Ethiopia, which was to guarantee a spot in Cameroon 2019.
Waswahili wanasema ahadi ni nini? Na dawa ya deni?
But given the unclear situation in Group F with Sierra Leone's ban, Harambee Stars have to put the champagne on ice, even as a trip to Cameroon beckons.
Ni namna hii. Tulikubaliana, you remember when you came to Karen? Yes. Tulikubaliana ya kwamba hii safari tutatembea pamoja. Tukakubaliana when you will be flying for the championships in Cameroon in June next year, tutakuwa kwa ndege moja. And this is the time. Mimi naona hiyo safari ya kwenda Cameroon barabara imefunguka.
Success has many fathers, a win over Ghana, a draw with Ethiopia away, and a home win over the Walaya Antelopes, and suddenly everyone wants a piece of the Stars.
Vile mmecheza leo, mumetuweka katika ramani ya kandanda tena kama Wakenya. I want to say, gentlemen, we are grateful. Mimi nangojea huyu prezo aniambie we have qualified. Mimi ni deliver.
That Sebastian Menye's salary has been unpaid for months, that the national football team could not hold residential camp, and that tickets to Ethiopia were almost not available for foreign-based players is now conveniently forgotten. Until the next rough patch, when the players have to stand on their own in the struggle that is sports in Kenya. Warote Kiru, NTV. Now, there's 50 million shillings to give Harambee Stars, but they needed 25 million shillings to prepare for the 2 games against Ethiopia, and that was not available. The interesting tales that Kenyan sports has to endure. And the 4th round of the Nairobi County Boxing League was held over the weekend at the Dagoretti South CDF Open Grounds, with 5 teams from city clubs taking part in a well-attended outdoor match graced by the Nairobi County Boxing Association Chairman Ken Otieno. Home club Kawangware Boxing Club took the honors, but with stiff competition from newly launched Tekla Lerupe Boxing Club based at Dagoretti Corner, which fielded one boxer who works for the famed Athletes Foundation. In the final results, Kawangware bagged 21 points, Tekla Lerupe's club had 18 points, while Kangemi Boxing Club garnered 10 points. Bahati and Jamhuri Boxing Clubs also took part. Our football teams in Kabete constituency will be able to play matches in different school fields after the area MP, James Gidua, pledged to liaise with school heads in the constituency to avail the fields. The MP spoke during the final of the Kabete constituency tournament. White Eagles emerged champions after beating Team LA 3-0. In addition to availing of the pitches, the teams which received football uniforms as well as footballs will benefit from a national government CDF-funded project at the ward level that will empower the footballers financially.
Wachezaji wengi hawako kazi. Ni kweli si kweli? Si mngependa kuwa kazi? Kwa hivyo, mimi niko tayari kusupport kila team. Kulingana na vile officials tutasikizana nao, wakuwe na income generating projects ambazo wanamchezo wengine wataajiriwa pale na watakuwa wanapata pesa za kusupport team zao.
It's good to see that there's someone who's actually thinking about how to empower sports people away from just sports. And Mick Schumacher, the 19-year-old son of 7-time Formula 1 world champion Michael Schumacher, has won the European Formula 3 title. The win qualifies him to race in Formula 1 next season, although there are few vacant seats available and the next... You go, I was at the Shushan place, at the canteen, everyone's talking around the stars, and I'm being asked, have they been paid the 50 million shillings?
Have
so it's
they,
roughly, no, they haven't.
How long will it take?
The deputy president says once the FKF president tells him the boys have qualified, then he'll pay his debt. But now there are around 40 people in that team, technical players, technical bench and players. That's $1 million bob roughly. What would you do with $1 million bob? I don't use
I'll give it in...
Don't even start. Don't even go there. I know what you're about to say. But it's okay. We'll give you another chance. So what would you do?
Buy chocolates. Worth 1 million shillings.
All right.
Trevor, what would you do?
Give half to charity, like what?
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, you just raised on your parade. The other half.
Probably invest in
Me too.
like a small
Me
shamba.
too. Me too.
I didn't even finish. Anyway, we have to leave it there. Our director Jack is screaming at us. We have to wrap it up because Mark Masai is coming up next with Press Pass. There's been a lot of talk about the South Sudan expose done by one veteran journalist, John Allen Namu. Is already here. The Profiteers, you must have seen it by now online. He'll explain what happened there, the truth behind every detail that he has, whether there's political influence or not. That tonight on Press Pass with Mark Masai. My name is Trevor Mbija. Always a pleasure having you with us. Good night.
And of course, our sign language interpreter this evening was David Agondoa. My name is Zainab Ismail. Good evening.